So I was standing over the stovetop, threw in some water, shed my finger, and probably cooked up about 5 grams of baking soda. And I've never done cocaine, but everybody calls this opiate thing cocaine because they don't know what it is yet. And it's synthetic for a reason. Now, that means that there's all sorts of flesh stuff involved. I mean, pockets and carving faces, really. Stuff like regeneration, crimson, probably not even taking a pass yet. I mean, that lighter goes off and you hit particles and everything freezes, really. I mean, people are really careful and watch out for that kind of stuff. And, I mean, it takes forever to get out of your body. I mean, that stuff clings to your muscles and it really just rips into you. Now, what it is it's just boiled water, right? So I had half a spoonful, and then I went to Taco Bell. Nothing really to do anymore. I mean, I really picked up a career in gaming, and everybody's looking out for this kind of stuff. I mean, they're trying to find people who have a few spare hours to video game and cook at the same time. And I'm like, man, I only got about 25 cents worth of input, but I already maxed out my career in gaming, surprisingly. Now I'm looking back at all my archives, and the stuff is just filled to the brim of personal anecdotes. And I could probably retrace all my steps, and I probably remember all the words to it. But I mean, they're getting really open with this stuff now. I mean, it's the part of being who you are in the 19th century, and that's part of the trip. But I don't have a continue button. I mean, I'm on the master game, and I'm probably about all the way through with these video games here. Now, until they release something for the hard cartridges, I mean, those are my favorite. But, I mean, there's a lot of stuff I gotta watch out for when they start reviving people. I mean, bringing people back to the life in the future. I mean, they mention it in 20 years, they mention it in 600 years, they mention it in 1200 years. I mean, people don't get to come back to life until those times. And then, I mean, even then, it's just a what is it called? I mean, Crystal Meth probably talks about the overall capacity of all these things that you never finished, and that's what they're breathing in at the hospital. I mean, how it works would be, I mean, we all want this West Coast here in the United States, and nobody can have it. And there's an expedition of sorts that people don't mention for people of character. I mean, these people, I mean, it's like I'm talking to you backwards almost. And, I mean, it's a pretty nice offer, right? I mean, you get a completion score based off of what you did and what you didn't do. And then you would get to run through the process of evaluation, and that's just a tablet of scores between what you accomplished and what your service rendered. And I mean, it would probably be like having no service at after like a bone breaking incident. I mean, they prescribe painkillers, and you can't play video games on that kind of stuff. I mean, it's like what is it called? It's like a static feed, and the static feed affects the overall playability of your serial activation. And I mean, one person starts doing something and plays this game, and then people think the game is the best game in the world. And I mean, there's an underweb involved in everything you do, everything you hear. And I mean, you can find out where these players came in for like 8 to 14 hours a night. And I mean, they're on painkillers and they're on stimulants, and I mean, you can't read anything without having some sort of world trade in order. I mean, like skills and words, I mean, lift off pages sometimes. And you have to be compatible when you're communicating and you're reading and activating. And those two probably have their own core and things. But I mean, we don't want you to play video games anymore, Patrick. So I did the red line thing at YouTube. How much inactivity do you have, and how much time do you have available? I have all the time. I mean, it's not going to waste. I mean, I have a perfect backlog on blogging, and that was just off of the medicinal marijuana. Now, that's not such a bad thing. I mean, they have that available now. I mean, it's worth whichever amount you wanted, and then to go shed your finger. I mean, you could curl your fingers, you can spin it, you can do some pointers. I mean, the THC buildup is probably as smooth as your finger would have been. I know it's a far out thought, and I mean, it all goes back to how you complete the process. So, I mean, I have plenty of that in my water. And I mean, I've probably cooked up about like 30 eggs or so. And none of it was perfect, But I mean, it was all there. Nah, what it is it's probably the worst time to be alive right now, because I mean, you've got these people who say that they read certain parts to where they remember people when they're dead. I mean, it's like a celebration when people die. And some people don't remember ever dying, and they live these mighty lives. I mean, I'm living this epic story. I mean, I wear a mask on Halloween, just like everybody else. I mean, I take all the news personally on TV. And that's about all I have now is the news. Now, there's plenty of vision going on here. And, you know, it's like, okay, we wanted that synthetic crap, so now we're all eating face now. I mean, I go to sleep and I have these nightmares. You know, crow's nest in the mall, crow's nest at the playground, crow's nest at the church, crow's nest just about everywhere else. I mean, in the mountains. I mean, Tums. I mean, chew tablets and all that stuff are going to be readily available. And I'm not making this up. I mean, they have these exo-shield weapons, this giant molted weapons, assault rifles, high caliber stuff. I mean, they've got exoskeletons that jump over walls in like 2 seconds. And there's flesh eaters, right? I mean, what I'm talking about is assault. And we're made out of 70% of that. I mean, unless you're putting blood into it, I mean, that's a whole different thing. But I mean, we're lost at sea. I mean, there's a whole taste process. You probably hit your head wrong. I mean, somebody's probably pregnant. I mean, it goes on for about a few oddities. It really is about having these open networks. I mean, I don't know if it was Colorado or if it was Central America, but I mean, we're driving through these places, delivering shoes and carrying these Halo weapons, really, and Xbox. And I mean, things start picking up pretty soon. I mean, we get involved in other countries in America. And I still have to lose like 20 pounds. But after that, I mean, I'm ready to run. No. I know I mentioned it in my previous video that it was the last one, but this was too good to pass up. I mean, somebody mentioned in the house, you know, tell them about shedding, you know, tell them about that kind of stuff. I mean, it's a big world. I mean, you probably don't know what I'm talking about, but I mean, when you sleep on it, I mean, you'll probably roll over one day, a decade from now, if there is an Earth, and you'll probably be like, oh man, shit, right. I mean, it's not like a music video or anything, but I mean, it's still something.